So we are continuing the incredible story of Lord Brahma stealing the calves and the cowherd boys, and the incredible loving exchange that Krishna had with his devotees, taking the opportunity to become all of them for the sake of satisfying all those cowherd men and cowherd women that wanted to have Krishna, felt like they should also have Krishna as their son. They felt like Krishna was their son. They even had more affection for him than they did their own children. So because of that feelings, the feelings they were feeling towards Krishna, Krishna expanded himself as all the cowherd boys and the calves, and he allowed all those calves, those cows and mothers to experience having him as their own child, sucking his breasts and everything. So it's a quite extraordinary, loving exchange, and the demigods in the heavenly planets, I'm sure, were amazed at such an event. But that's Krishna. He does really sweet and wonderful things, and we want to always acknowledge the contribution of Lord Brahma. How if he hadn't stolen all of them, and this pastime couldn't have happened.
I was thinking a funny contrast is like impersonalists, their perfection is they want to become God, but then with these pure devotees, God becomes you sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So God becomes Sudam and Sridam and Madhumangala, and he takes the form of all those children. Meanwhile, they're sleeping somewhere in some mystic cloud. The Lord Brahma has them asleep. So this wasn't spoken about for a long time, for one whole year. And everyone was experiencing such extraordinary attachment to their children, more so than they with their own children, because it was Krishna. So I'm going to start off here, where Balaram is watching this extraordinary exchange of affection between the cows and their calves, and between the fathers and their children. And when neither the calves nor the children needed so much care, he began to wonder why this extraordinary thing was happening. He was astonished to see all the residents of Vrindavan so affectionate for their own children, exactly as they had been for Krishna. Similarly, the cows had grown affectionate for their calves as much as for Krishna. So Balaram, therefore, considered that the extraordinary show of affection was something mystical, either performed by the demigods or by some powerful man. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? He concluded that this mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered his worshipable personality of Godhead. He thought, quote, "It was arranged by Krishna, and even I could not check its mystic power," unquote. Thus Balaram understood that all those boys and calves were expansions of Krishna. Balaram inquired from Krishna about the actual situation. He says, "My dear Krishna, in the beginning I thought that all these cows, and cowherd boys were either great sages or saintly persons or demigods, but as of present, it appears they are actually your expansions. They're all you. You yourself are playing as the calves and the cows and the boys. What a mystery of this situation. Where have all those other calves and cows and boys gone? And why are you expanding yourself as the cows, calves, and boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause?" Unquote. At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation, how the cows and boys were stolen by Brahma, and how he was concealing the incident by expanding himself so people would not know that the original cows, calves, and boys were missing. While Krishna and Balaram were talking, Brahma returned after a moment's interval, according to the duration of his life. We have information of Lord Brahma's duration of life in the Bhagavad Gita. It is 1,000 times the duration of 4 ages, or 4,300,000 times 1,000, comprise Brahma's 12 hours. Similarly, 1 moment of Brahma is equal to 1 year of our solar calculation. So after 1 moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by his stealing the boys and calves. But he was also afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away the calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away very long, just a moment. A year in our calculation. He came back after a moment. After his calculation, he saw that all the boys and cows were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them, although he was confident that he had taken them and made them lie down asleep under the spell of his mystic power. Brahma began to think, all these boys, cows, were taken away by me, and I know that they are still sleeping. How is it that a similar batch of cows and boys and calves are playing with Krishna? Is it that they are not influenced by my mystic power? Have they been playing continually for 1 year with Krishna? Brahma tried to understand who they were and how they were uninfluenced by his mystic power, but he could not ascertain it. In other words, he himself came under the spell of his own mystic power. The influence of his mystic power appeared like snow in darkness, or the glowworm in daytime. During the night's darkness, the glowworm can show some glittering power, and the snow piled up on the top of a hill or on the ground can shine during the daytime. But at night, the snow has no silver glitter, nor does the glowworm have any illuminating power during the daytime. Similarly, when the small mystic power exhibited by Brahma was before the mystic power of Krishna, it was just like snow or a glowworm. When a man of small mystic power wants to show potency in the presence of great mystic power, he diminishes his own influence. He does not increase it. Even a great personality like Brahma, when he wanted to show his mystic power before Krishna, became ludicrous. Brahma was thus confused about his own mystic powers. In order to convince Brahma that all these cows and boys were not the original ones, the cows and boys who were playing with Krishna transformed into Vishnu forms. Actually, the original ones were sleeping under the spell of Brahma's mystic power, but the present ones seen by Brahma were all immediate expansions of Krishna or Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna. So the Vishnu forms appeared before Brahma. This is one way you hear it one way, and sometimes you hear it the other way. All the Vishnu forms were of bluish color and dressed in yellow garments. All of them had 4 hands decorated with a club and disc and lotus flower and conch shell, and on their heads were glittering golden jeweled helmets. They were bedecked with pearls and earrings and garlanded with beautiful flowers, and on their chests there was marks of Shivas. Their arms were decorated with armlets and other jewelry. Their necks were smooth, just like the conch shell. Their legs were decorated with bells, and their waists decorated with golden bells, and their fingers decorated with jeweled rings. Brahma also saw upon the whole body of Vishnu fresh tulsi buds were thrown, beginning from his lotus feet up to the top of his head. Another significant feature of Vishnu forms was that all of them were looking transcendently beautiful. Their smiling resembled the moonshine, and their glancing resembled the early morning rising of the sun. And just by their glancing, they appeared as the creators and maintainers of the modes of ignorance and passion. Vishnu represents the mode of goodness, and Brahma represents the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva represents the mode of ignorance. Therefore, as maintainer of everything in the cosmic manifestation, Vishnu is also creator, maintainer of Brahma and Lord Shiva. After this manifestation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma saw that many other Brahmas and Shivas and demigods, and even insignificant living entities down to the ants and very small straws, movable and immovable living entities, were dancing, surrounding Lord Vishnu. Their dancing was accompanied by various kinds of music, and all of them were worshipping Lord Vishnu. Brahma realized that all those Vishnu forms were complete, beginning from the anima perfection of becoming small like an atom up to becoming infinite like the cosmic manifestation. And all the mystic powers of Brahma, Shiva, and all the demigods and the 24 elements of the cosmic manifestation were fully represented in the person of Vishnu. And by the influence of Lord Vishnu, all subordinate mystic powers were engaged in his worship. He was being worshipped by time and space, cosmic manifestation, reformation, desire, activity, and the three qualities of material nature. Lord Vishnu, Brahma also realized, is a reservoir of all truth, knowledge, and bliss. He is the combination of three transcendental features, namely eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He is the object of worship by the followers of the Upanishads. Brahma realized that all the different forms of the cows and boys and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by a mysticism of the type that a yogi or demigod can display by specific powers invested in them. The cows and boys transformed into Vishnu Murtis or Vishnu forms were not displays of Vishnu Maya or Vishnu energy. They were Vishnu himself. The respective qualifications of Vishnu and Vishnu Maya are just like fire and heat. In the heat, there is the qualification of fire, namely warmth, and yet heat is not fire. The manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys, cows, and cows was not like the heat, but rather like the fire. They were all actually Vishnu. Actually, the qualification of Vishnu is full truth, full knowledge, and full bliss. Another example can be given with material objects which are reflected in many, many forms. For example, the sun is reflected in so many water pots, but the reflections of the sun in many pots is not actually the sun. There is no actual heat and light from the sun in the pot, although it appears as the sun. But the forms which Krishna assumed were each and every one full Vishnu. Satyam means truth, Jnanam, full knowledge, and Ananda, full bliss. Transcendental forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his person are so great that the impersonal followers of the Upanishads cannot reach the platform of knowledge to understand them. Particularly, the transcendental forms of the Lord are beyond the reach of the impersonalist, who can only understand through the studies of the Upanishads that the absolute truth is not matter, that the absolute truth is not materially restricted by limited potency. Lord Brahma understood Krishna and his expansion into Vishnu forms, and could understand that due to his expansion of energy of the Supreme Lord, everything movable and immovable within the cosmic manifestation is existing. When Brahma was thus standing baffled in his limited power and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses, he could at least realize that he was also a creation of the material energy, just like a puppet. As a puppet has no independent power to dance, but moves according to the direction of the puppet master, so the demigods and living entities are all subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the only master is Krishna, and all others are servants. The whole world is under the waves of the material spell, and beings are floating like straws in the water. So their struggle for existence is continuing. But as soon as one becomes conscious that he is the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Maya or illusory struggle for existence is immediately stopped. Lord Brahma, who has full control over the goddess of learning and who is considered to be the best authority in Vedic knowledge, was thus perplexed, being unable to understand the extraordinary power manifested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the mundane world, even a personality like Brahma is unable to understand the potential mystic power of the Supreme Lord. Not only did Brahma fail to understand, but he was perplexed, even to see the display which was being manifested by Krishna before him. Krishna took compassion upon Brahma's inability to see even how he was displaying the force of Vishnu in transferring himself into the cowherd boys, and thus, while fully manifesting the Vishnu expansion, he suddenly pulled the curtain of Yogamaya over the scene. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not visible due to the curtain spread by Yogamaya. That which covers the reality is Mahamaya, or the external energy, which does not allow a conditioned soul to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead beyond the cosmic manifestation. But the energy which partially manifests the Supreme Personality of Godhead and partially does not allow one to see is called Yogamaya. Brahma is not an ordinary conditioned soul. He is far, far superior to all the demigods, and yet he could not comprehend the display of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Krishna willingly stopped manifesting any further potencies. The conditioned soul not only becomes bewildered, but he is completely unable to understand. The curtain of Yogamaya was drawn so that Brahma would not become more and more perplexed. When Brahma was relieved from his perplexity, he appeared to be awakened from an almost dead state. And he began to open his eyes with great difficulty, and thus he could see the eternal cosmic manifestation with common eyes. He saw all around him the super excellent view of Vrindavan, full of trees, which is a source of life for all living entities. He could appreciate the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where all the living entities are transcendental to ordinary nature. In the forest of Vrindavan, even ferocious animals like tigers and others, they live peacefully along with the deer and human beings. He could understand that because of the presence of the Supreme Personality in Vrindavan, that place is transcendental to all other places, and that there is no lust and greed there. Brahma thus found Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing the part of a small cowherd boy, and he saw that little child with a lump of food in his left hand, searching out his friends, cows and calves, just as he is actually doing 1 year before, after their disappearance. Immediately, Brahma descended from his great swan carrier and fell down before the Lord just like a golden stick. The word used among the Vaishnavas for offering respect is dandavat. This word means falling down like a stick. One should offer respect to the superior Vaishnava by falling down straight, with his body just like a stick. So Brahma fell down before the Lord just like a stick, and to offer respect, and because the complexion of Brahma is golden, he appeared to be like a golden stick, lying down before Lord Krishna. All the 4 helmets on the heads of Brahma touched the lotus feet of Krishna. Brahma, being very joyful, began to shed tears, and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears, and repeatedly, as he fell in rows, he realized the wonderful activities of the Lord. After repeating obeisances for a long time, Brahma stood up and smeared his hands over his eyes, and seeing the Lord before him, he, trembling, began to offer prayers with great respect, humility, and attention. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 13th chapter of Krishna, the stealing of the boys and calves by Brahma. It's interesting that the obeisancy thing was brought into, after I read that thing this morning about the obeisances. After repeating obeisances for a long time, well, Lord Brahma's obeisances are, I'm sure, very deep and transcendental. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 13th chapter of Krishna, the stealing of the boys and calves by Lord Brahma. Hare Krishna.